Hey, good morning, girls. Happy Monday before Christmas. Can you believe it? We are already here at the end of the year and already celebrating Christmas. It just seemed like it came overnight. I don't know what happened here. So, good morning. Yeah, we're running a little late today, but it's all good. Sometimes we need to let our body rest and feel good so that we can jump in and get the day going. So, but we're here, we're talking this morning, and pardon the mud. We've got mud. I've got a 4-month-old puppy in the house now, and she's found the only mud hole in the yard. She finds it every morning, and she comes and loves on Mama as soon as she gets out of it. So, but it's all good. She's a joy to have in the house. But today we're going to talk about... My stuff's falling apart here. That's interesting. Okay, today we're going to talk about because he said so. And I know when you looked at the topic, you kind of went, what is she talking about today? Well, today we're going to talk about those times that God has told you to take action, and you throw a temper tantrum, and you know we've all done it. We've all told God, but we don't want to. Why? Why me? Why not her? Why should I have to do it now? Why? We hear that a lot. And part of it is we need to remember, just kind of like if any of you have ever pulled your mom card on your kids because I said so. You know, I had that pulled on me as a kid. And what can you argue back with that? When your mama says, because I said so, you're done. You just do it because your mama said. At least that's the way I was raised. See, I know kids today might be a little different, where kids today can sass back and do whatever they want anyhow. But if we did that, because when we were told no to something, if we threw a fit, a temper tantrum, talked back, we got the belt, or whatever happened to be in the hands at that moment. So, and P.S., we all turned out okay. You know, it taught us how to respect and how to where our boundaries were. You know, we knew that we respected the elders at that point. And it just breaks my heart that our children out there today, because of the way society's changed, is that they don't get the belt anymore, and they pretty much think it's fair game. And that's sad, because, in my opinion, it's not abuse to spank a child if they're out of line. I think that the Bible tells us to keep our children in line, not to spare the rod. And, you know, I kind of follow along with that. But that's the way I was raised. I was raised to know that if I did something wrong, my mama or daddy was going to take that belt. And I always hated it when Dad would take it off. He'd take it off nice and slow. And then he'd take it, and he always did this. And it was funny because he was character. He'd put the ends together and then snap it in the middle. And you just knew that, you know, my dad didn't spank us often. It was actually my mom that did. But I didn't sass my dad. You know, that was just funny. Anyhow, that's a whole nother story. But, you know, when God calls us, girls, and God tells us to do something, how many times do we throw a temper tantrum? And how many times are we saying, not me, why me, I don't want to, not now, I'm too busy, and all of this comes up. And see, we have a character in the Bible that did that as well. Peter. When he was out on the fishing boat, girls, he did that same thing we did. But Jesus says, take that boat out on that lake in the waters, throw the net on the other side. And Peter pitched a fit. I don't want to. We've been out there all night and haven't caught a thing. Why would we, I'm going to say it a third time, would we go out on that boat and cast the net again? And Jesus pretty much said, because I told you so. And of course, Peter went and stomping his feet. Can you imagine the temper tantrum he was throwing? You got to figure, the guys were exhausted. They had worked all day long for no results. And all they got was empty nets. They were probably tired, and they were hungry, and they were probably thirsty. They were probably wet from being out on the waters. And now Jesus is going to tell me to go back out there again? Now? Really? But see, girls, what's amazing about the story is that when God told them to go back out, when they finally did what he told them to do, what happened to the boat? How much fish did they just pull in those nets? There was so much fish, there were too many for the net. So the question is, what is God calling you to do today? Or what has he told you to do that you're throwing a temper tantrum on? Oh, I know you don't want to go there, because I don't either. When I do my temper tantrums, I want them private. I don't want nobody to know that I threw my feet up and said I don't want to. But let's take a look here in Luke 5:5. And this is where we find this story. And it says in here, "And Peter replied, 'We've worked hard all night long and caught nothing, but at your word, I will let the net down.'" See, what happens, girls, is when we submit to what God is telling us. When we put our nets out, even though we're tired and we're exhausted and we can't find the time or we don't have the energy, but we choose to do it anyway because God has clearly told you to step, your net comes back overflowing with all the fish you could possibly need. What in your life this week, as we're coming up to Christmas, we know it's busy. We know you might be having to finish Christmas shopping, or maybe you have family coming, or you're moving. I know I've got a couple of friends that moved this weekend, so they're sitting there on Christmas week with boxes around their house. But my question to you, girls, this morning, the Monday before Christmas, what has God told you to do that you're throwing a temper tantrum on and saying, I don't want to, I don't have time, not me, pick someone else? What is it today that is your I don't want a moment? Because see, girls, when God says so, when God tells us to cast our nets, to take that step, to do whatever it is, if God has told us to step, he will honor it. See, because God doesn't just waste time. We're the ones that waste the time. We're the ones that get so busy that we don't want to fit what we're supposed to be doing in. We talk a lot about in thriving as writing down our priorities. What does our day look like? And some have written them down and really recognized that there is no time for God, so you're not hearing from him. Others have just said, I'm too busy. Others have had a revelation saying, wow, I'm up. I don't know, what is it? 16 hours, somewhere in there. I think that's what we're up. We sleep for 8. But out of that 16 hours, I'm not sharing time with God. If you want to hear from God, you've got to be in his presence. You've got to be part of the family with him. You have to be communicating with him. You have to be listening. And God wants us to just listen and be obedient to what he wants. Because, see, girls, remember, he's the one in the helicopter above the parade, looking at the whole thing. He can see every float lined up. While we're sitting in the grandstands, and all we can see is the tail end of the one that's already passed, the front end of the one that's coming next, and the moment we're in right now. That's exactly our life. See, girls, we only know what is past. We're experiencing the now, and we're looking to the future. But we need to be in fellowship with God for the what's next. Sometimes for the what's now. Because you could be in a position right now that God is telling you to step and do something. And you're just, but I'm tired. But I don't have a net. Let's take it to the fishing with Peter. And imagine, Peter said, I didn't have a boat. Well, God provided the boat. I don't have a net. He had a net. Peter had everything he needed to respond because God said so. So you have everything you need to respond because God said so. So once again, are you going to be like Peter in the beginning of the story that sat in the boat in the beginning of Luke 5 and says, it's pointless. Why should I? Hasn't worked before. Why would I do it now? I don't want to go. I'm tired. I'm wet. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I already wasted 10 hours out here and got nothing. That's ministry. But you're not wasting it. That's the difference. Because see, girls, you never know what seeds you're planting when you be obedient because God said so. You may never see that plant bloom. And every now and then, God gives you a glimpse of why you're supposed to respond when God says so. So look at your week this week as you're busy and involved with family and the holidays. Look at your week. See what God's showing you this week. What has He been telling you last week? What are you throwing a temper tantrum about? Because you cannot figure out how to make it work in your life. But girls, the secret, we don't have to figure it out. See, God's already got it under control. All He needs is a willing vessel, which is you and I, to be obedient and to allow Him to pull the dad card on us because I said so. It's really exciting to watch Him move when He said so. So girls, today, what are you throwing your temper tantrum about and not moving because God said so? Something to think about today while you're doing your shopping and your baking. Or maybe you're traveling to go to family this week. What is your temper tantrum you're throwing? It's time to surrender it to God and allow Him to use you as a mighty vessel, the light and the salt of this earth, to let your body and let your mouth be the gospel that others see. Because we may be the only Bible that many people see. We may be the only true Christians that people see. Because see, there's so many out there that profess to be a Christian and yet don't live a life. Because see, as a Christian, we should be living our life for Him, in church and out of church, at home and in business. I still remember when I was working in aerospace, one of the managers was a Christian. And I kind of asked him, I was kind of like, what is with what's going on here? Because you walk around telling everybody you're a Christian, but yet your actions are horrible. You're mean. You're not very nice in any way. And he said to me, Robin, because see, we were peers, because we were about the same ranking in the company. And he says to me, I can't be a Christian and a manager in the same place. And I was set back and I thought, wow, that's the problem out here. You see, because we're supposed to be a Christian in every aspect of our life, to be Christ-like. We're human. We make messes. You know, I mess up. I say things, and I'm like, why did I say that? But I do my best to make sure that I'm living the life that reflects that I am a Christian. I pray for you today that if you're struggling with putting that forward, and it doesn't mean, girls, that you have to walk around and say, I'm a Christian. Our actions speak louder than words. In our workplaces, or in your workplaces. My workplace has fur everywhere, so I'm pretty safe. I do the best I can with my clients virtually. But with, if you're going into a workspace, it's really important. And I know some of those spaces may be tough, but we're going to go back to the question for today, or the statement for today. Because God said so. He said to live our life. Maybe that's your temper tantrum you're throwing. Is finding that balance in work. But no, you're to be that example at work, at school, in your business, in your ministry, in your church, in your friendships, in your relationships. We're not part-time Christians, girls. Living a life of a Christian is full-time. Yes, we make mistakes. Yes, we trip and fall. But the awesome part about that is we have a Father in heaven who forgives us, picks us up, dusts us off, and we pick it up running again. So is that where your temper tantrum is? Or is it because God's calling you to serve somewhere and you just don't want to serve there? Is it God calling you to forgive someone that you don't think deserves forgiveness? And that's a whole nother conversation, because remember, forgiveness is not for them, it's for your peace, not theirs. What is it that God has told you to do? And you're throwing a temper tantrum. And our loving Father in heaven is just saying, my precious daughter, you need to do it because I said so. Think on that today. What is your said so? Allow God to work in it. If I can pray for you, let me know. But allow God to help you with whatever He said to do. All right? Love you, girls. We'll catch you tomorrow. Bye. Stay out of the malls, too. Here they're kind of crazy. Yeah, we didn't do the mall thing here, so of course it's kind of hard in rural redneck area. But, be safe out there on the streets today, okay? Love you, girls. Catch you tomorrow. Bye.